The orbital station drifted like a fragile jewel through the endless void of space, a solitary beacon of human ingenuity suspended above a planet no one had dared to chart before. Outside, the universe unfolded in grand, indifferent spectacle. Galaxies swirled and collided in slow-motion arcs, their light stretching across millennia to reach the glass of the observation dome. Nebula glimmered with colors no human eyes had words for, while distant quasars pulsed like cosmic heartbeats, indifferent to the fragile lives that stared out from the station's interior. Yet all this magnificence seemed secondary, a backdrop to a smaller, more profound universe contained within the deck. She was there. The alien girl, delicate yet radiant, lay curled against his chest, her body warm and alive, a living constellation pressed against the steady rhythm of his heartbeat. Her skin glowed faintly, tracing intricate, bioluminescent patterns that flickered in sync with subtle movements of breath and emotion. To the casual observer, she might have seemed fragile, but he knew better. In her quiet, unassuming presence was a force the galaxy could never quantify. Trust given freely, surrender without expectation, and the audacious courage to allow another being full access to one's vulnerability. Humanity had endured countless challenges precisely because of this capacity, the ability to connect, to inspire trust, and to create intimacy where none was mandated or expected. From the moment she had first appeared on the observation deck weeks ago, she had been a puzzle wrapped in quiet fascination. Other species might measure intelligence in algorithms, fleets, or psychic ability, but humans thrived in the spaces between numbers, in the delicate nuances of presence and empathy. She had approached him slowly at first, tentative and watchful, scanning, observing, testing boundaries. He had responded not with authority or force, but with patience, gentleness, and a subtle assertion of warmth. Over time, the distance between them dissolved. Her trust grew, and he realized that humans wielded a power no alien empire, no strategist, and no machine could predict: the courage to allow intimacy, fully and without reserve. Now she lay completely against him, curling herself as if the fragile contours of his body were the center of the universe. Her bioluminescent skin pulsed in delicate arcs, illuminating the curve of her shoulders, the slender rise of her back, the soft, warm slope of her neck. He could feel her heartbeat beneath his palm, a subtle rhythm he had come to synchronize with instinctively, like two celestial bodies locked in a gravitational dance. It was more than mere comfort or affection. It was proof, tangible and undeniable, that humanity had mastered a force far subtler and more powerful than fleets or weapons. Trust and intimacy, raw and unmeasured, yet unbreakable. Galaxies burned in the distance, vast spirals of light and fire, but he scarcely noticed them. Supernovae erupted silently in their eternity, and black holes tugged at the edges of space-time, indifferent to all life. Yet inside this small observation deck, the universe had condensed into a singular point of connection. Every twitch of her fingers along his chest, every soft exhalation, every slight shift of weight became a language he could read with unerring precision. Outside civilizations might attempt to predict humanity through logic and calculation, but the truth was always beyond their reach. Humans endured because they connected, and she, lying against him, was proof of that enduring, unquantifiable strength. He lowered his head gently, pressing a tender kiss to the crown of her head, and she responded with a faint sigh, curling closer instinctively, as if seeking both comfort and reassurance in the warmth of his presence. Words were unnecessary. The language of trust, intimacy, and quiet devotion transcended syntax. The station's hum, the distant flicker of stars, the faint vibrations of energy conduits, these all blended into a perfect, silent symphony that amplified the singular truth between them. Humanity's greatest triumphs were not recorded in battle or conquest, but in moments like this, where vulnerability became a fortress and love became a force capable of defying the indifferent cosmos. Hours passed unnoticed. Time seemed suspended as he memorized every detail, the flickering glow along her shoulders, the delicate curve of her wrist, the gentle rise and fall of her chest. She shifted slightly, nuzzling closer, and he responded instinctively, wrapping an arm around her, pressing her small body against his heart. Outside, galaxies spun, stars ignited and faded, and meteors drifted past in slow arcs, but none of it mattered. Here, in the still warmth of presence and trust, humanity's true power was on full display. A species capable of inspiring surrender, nurturing connection, and sustaining love across species divides was not fragile, it was unstoppable. She murmured softly in her native tongue, melodic and incomprehensible, yet imbued with unambiguous meaning. Safety, trust, belonging. He responded not with speech, but with touch, a gentle stroke along her back, a cradle of his hand beneath her head, the subtle warmth of a kiss pressed against her glowing skin. In this quiet embrace, humanity's defiance was made tangible. Other species might measure power in fleets and intellect, yet no calculation could measure the audacity required to hold and be held, to allow another life full access to one's own existence, and to nurture that life with patient, unwavering care. As the station continued its silent orbit, distant galaxies igniting in the endless void, he understood something fundamental about humanity. Its endurance was not rooted in strategy, technology, or conquest. It lay in the courage to trust, the audacity to love, and the ability to forge connection in the coldest, most indifferent reaches of space. She curled against him completely, small, radiant, luminous, a living testament to humanity's indomitable power. In that moment, the stars, the galaxies, and the universe itself seemed to bow in recognition. He pressed another gentle kiss to her temple, feeling her warmth seep into him, feeling the quiet gravity of her trust anchor him in ways nothing else could. Beyond the glass, galaxies burned, stars collapsed into themselves, and cosmic storms raged. But inside the observation deck, the universe had condensed to the singular brilliance of her presence. Humanity's legacy was alive, luminous, and indestructible, embodied in the fragile, glowing form curled against his chest. And as he held her close, he knew, with an aching clarity, that this courage to nurture, to connect, to love, was humanity's ultimate triumph in the infinite, indifferent cosmos. The observation deck had become a sanctuary, a quiet refuge amid the endless expanse of space, where stars ignited and galaxies collided without concern for the fragile lives they illuminated. The alien girl remained curled against his chest, her soft weight a comforting anchor in the midst of a cosmos that offered neither mercy nor pause. Her bioluminescent patterns shimmered like tiny constellations, flickering and flowing along her skin in intricate, ephemeral designs. Each flicker was a message, a conversation without words, conveying trust, surrender, and an intimacy that transcended language, species, and expectation. Humanity had endured countless threats over millennia, not through brute force or cold logic, but through moments such as this, the courage to trust fully and to love without reservation. He traced her glowing patterns with careful fingers, memorizing each subtle line, each fleeting spark of light that pulsed along her shoulders and arms. The rhythm of her heartbeat beneath his hand matched his own, a slow, steady cadence that grounded them both in the fragility and power of life. Across civilizations, alien empires might calculate probability, predict outcomes, and manipulate intelligence, Yet they could never account for the human capacity to forge connection, to inspire surrender, to cultivate trust. Humanity's strength was subtle, unquantifiable, yet utterly unassailable. And here, in the quiet embrace of an alien life, it shone with undeniable clarity. Her head rested beneath his chin, warm and pliant, a small, luminous weight that radiated safety and vulnerability in equal measure. She whispered softly, melodic tones that he could not translate, yet the meaning was unmistakable. Safety, surrender, love, trust. They were conveyed entirely through tone, rhythm, and subtle vibrations that resonated directly in his chest. He responded instinctively, adjusting his arms to cradle her more fully, pressing her small, glowing form closer, feeling the pulse of her life against his own. Across the galaxy, stars exploded, black holes tugged at the edges of space-time, and meteors streaked past silently, yet none of it mattered. Here, in this moment, intimacy triumphed over cosmic scale, proving once more that humanity's true mastery lay in connection, empathy, and the audacity to nurture life completely. The observation deck's hum and subtle vibrations blended seamlessly with the quiet rhythm of their shared heartbeat. Every subtle twitch of her fingers along his chest, every delicate shift of her weight, became a language he understood instinctively. Alien civilizations might measure intelligence, predict behavior, or assert control through technology. But humans operated on a different principle. They thrived in unpredictability. They endured through empathy. And they conquered not through dominance, but through trust and love. She had curled against him, a delicate yet unwavering surrender. And in that act, he felt the full weight of humanity's legacy, a species capable of creating sanctuary, defying expectation, and inspiring devotion across boundaries no other civilization dared to cross. Outside, galaxies swirled in arcs of fire and light, some spinning violently, others dissolving into cosmic chaos. Yet the vastness of the universe seemed distant, secondary to the small, intimate orbit they had created around one another. He pressed a kiss to her forehead, feeling her warmth seep into him, and she responded with a soft sigh, nuzzling closer, embedding herself in the sanctuary of his arms. Their connection was tangible, unquantifiable, and absolute, a quiet defiance of the indifferent cosmos. Humanity had survived countless cataclysms, from collapsing civilizations to cosmic calamities, and it endured through trust, care, and the willingness to give fully of oneself to another life. Here, she was proof of that endurance, a living, radiant testament to humanity's most profound power. Hours passed unnoticed. Stars flared, galaxies rotated, and nebulae glimmered in faint, unnameable hues. Yet inside the observation deck, the universe had contracted into the pulse of a single heartbeat. Every sigh, every twitch, every flicker of her bioluminescent glow communicated more than words ever could. He adjusted to cradle her closer, letting her rest fully against his chest, pressing gentle kisses along her glowing hair and shoulders, committing every detail to memory. Humanity's resilience had always been invisible to the galaxy. Fleets could be measured, technology quantified, empires assessed. Yet the quiet, undeniable strength of trust, intimacy, and the courage to love remained beyond all prediction. She whispered again, her voice low, melodic, and incomprehensible, yet the meaning resonated clearly. I am here. I am yours. I trust you. He responded with presence, with warmth, with the silent assurance that he would protect, nurture, and cherish her in the midst of an indifferent universe. The galaxies outside continued their distant dance. Black holes tugged silently at matter and light, and the cosmos spun on. Yet the greatest power in this corner of space was human and alien, entwined in trust and intimacy. She had curled against him, luminous and alive, and in that simple act, humanity had spoken to the universe louder than any supernova. Connection, love, and courage were forces more enduring than time itself. Finally, he rested his head atop hers, feeling her warmth seep fully into him. And in that perfect stillness, the enormity of humanity's triumph became clear. They were fragile, unpredictable, and emotional, yes, but in these qualities lay indomitable power. Across light years and civilizations, no empire could replicate this. No machine could calculate it. It was pure, immeasurable, and unstoppable. She had trusted him completely, curling against him in a universe that expected nothing. And in doing so, she had made him understand the ultimate truth. Humanity's greatest legacy was not in conquest, not in fleets or empires, but in the courage to connect, to nurture, and to love in the coldest and most indifferent reaches of existence. The observation deck seemed suspended in time, a fragile haven where nothing beyond the glass mattered. Outside, galaxies spiraled in arcs of fire and light. Nebulae glimmered in colors impossible to name, and black holes tugged silently at the edges of space, consuming all without concern for the lives below. Inside, however, the universe had collapsed to a single point of warmth. A small, radiant form curled fully against his chest, the alien girl's bioluminescent skin glowing in intricate, pulsing patterns. Every flicker of her light, every subtle rise and fall of her chest, spoke volumes in a language that transcended words, a language of trust, surrender, and quiet intimacy. Humanity had endured countless threats, faced civilizations far older and more calculating, and survived not through fleets or weapons, but through the audacity to nurture, to connect, and to love. He shifted slightly, letting a hand trace the subtle glow along her shoulder and down her back, memorizing the delicate lines and curves of her small, luminous body. The warmth beneath his palm was tangible proof of their connection, a bridge between species that no fleet, no strategy, no calculation could ever predict. She responded instinctively, nuzzling closer, pressing her head beneath his chin, seeking comfort, safety, and the assurance that he would protect her fully. Across the cosmos, alien empires might have measured intelligence, calculated probabilities, and wielded power with precision, yet none had grasped the invisible, unassailable strength of intimacy that humans wielded naturally. This was the true triumph of humanity, to inspire complete trust, to nurture life fully, and to cultivate love where logic dictated none should exist. Hours, or perhaps minutes, time had lost its meaning, passed in quiet rhythm. He pressed his lips to the crown of her head, feeling the pulse of her heartbeat resonate with his own, a subtle symphony that filled the space between them. Outside, galaxies collided silently, supernova erupted, and cosmic storms raged in violent, indifferent arcs. Yet none of it compared to the gravity of this moment, the undeniable power of a human heart and an alien form entwined in trust. Humanity had always been underestimated, its unpredictable, emotional nature dismissed as weakness. And yet here, in the quiet surrender of her body against his, he realized that these traits were their greatest weapon, the ability to endure, to connect, and to survive in ways no alien calculus could foresee. Her bioluminescent patterns shifted, flickering along her skin like miniature constellations dancing in response to his touch. Each pulse was a declaration, each shimmer a message. She trusted him entirely, and in doing so, she had offered him the rarest gift imaginable. He adjusted to cradle her more fully, his arms wrapping around her fragile form, pressing her close to the steady rhythm of his chest. This intimacy was a force that no star could match, no galaxy could rival. It was unmeasurable, unpredictable, and unstoppable. Humanity had survived not by calculation or conquest, but by offering sanctuary, by inspiring trust, and by wielding the quiet power of connection. She was living proof. Time continued its meaningless drift as he memorized every detail. The gentle slope of her shoulders, the subtle tremor in her hands, the soft rise and fall of her chest against his. Her presence was a defiance of the void, a declaration that humans could survive even when the universe seemed indifferent. Outside, meteors streaked silently past the observation dome, galaxies rotated in slow, endless arcs, and distant stars ignited and died without notice. But inside, the universe had shrunk to the pulse of a heartbeat, the warmth of a small, glowing body, and the quiet truth that humanity's greatest power was intangible yet absolute. She whispered softly, melodic and alien, and though he could not understand the words, the sentiment was unmistakable: safety, trust, surrender, and belonging. He responded instinctively, pressing a gentle kiss to her glowing temple, letting her curl closer in response, and feeling the profound wake of connection that no weapon or technology could replicate. Across millennia, humans had faced catastrophe, adversity, and the cold logic of empires far older and more powerful, yet they had endured. Here, in this moment of quiet intimacy, the galaxy witnessed their resilience in miniature, the courage to trust, to nurture, and to love unconditionally. The observation deck, humming softly with life support systems and the subtle vibrations of orbit, became a sanctuary of proof. Her small, radiant body pressed against his chest was not fragile. It was indomitable. Humanity had endured because it had learned to protect, to care, to inspire trust, and to love. Outside, the galaxies burned in brilliance and chaos, but inside, the universe had distilled into a single, luminous truth. The human capacity for connection was absolute, unstoppable, and radiant. She had curled against him, and in doing so, she had become the living testament to the power that had carried humanity across stars, across centuries, across the impossible void of space itself. He held her fully in his arms, pressing his head gently against hers, feeling the quiet symphony of their shared life. The galaxies continued their indifferent ballet outside, but it no longer mattered. Humanity's triumph was not in domination or conquest, but in intimacy, trust, and the courage to offer oneself completely. And in the soft glow of her bioluminescent patterns, in the rise and fall of her chest against his, he understood the greatest truth of all. They were alive, they were connected, and they were unstoppable. Together, against a universe that had never calculated their hearts. The observation deck remained a fragile cocoon of warmth and quiet, a sanctuary floating in the infinite void. Outside, the cosmos erupted with indifferent grandeur. Galaxies collided in slow, catastrophic arcs. Stars flared in brilliant bursts of color, and nebulae shimmered with a beauty no human language could capture. Yet none of it mattered. Within the station, the universe had contracted to the heartbeat of a single, luminous life curled fully against his chest. Her bioluminescent skin flickered gently, glowing in intricate, ephemeral patterns that pulsed in perfect harmony with his own heartbeat. Every subtle flash, every delicate movement of her body conveyed volumes of meaning, trust, surrender, intimacy, and an undeniable bond that transcended species, logic, and expectation. Humanity's power, he realized, was never in fleets or weaponry. It lived here, in the courage to connect and the audacity to allow oneself to be vulnerable. He shifted slightly to press her closer, letting a hand trace the delicate lines of light along her back and shoulders. The warmth of her body was tangible proof of a trust that was not given lightly, a surrender that could not be predicted or forced. Other civilizations might have calculated probability, anticipated behavior, or deployed armies with precision, but humans wielded a power beyond computation. The quiet courage to nurture, to protect, and to inspire trust was immeasurable yet absolute, and in the fragile weight of her form against him, he felt it radiating like a force no empire could counter. She had chosen to curl against him, and in that simple act, humanity's true legacy shone brighter than any star outside the observation dome. Her head rested beneath his chin, warm and pliant, as she murmured in her alien tongue, a soft, melodic sound impossible to translate, yet completely understood. Safety, belonging, love, trust. The universe, in all its incomprehensible expanse, had given them this moment of defiance. He pressed a gentle kiss to her temple, then along the crown of her head, memorizing every flicker of her glow, every subtle quiver of breath. Each movement, each sigh, each tiny shift of weight was a declaration, a proof of resilience that no alien fleet could predict, no algorithm could calculate. Humanity's endurance, he realized, was not built on steel or firepower, but on connection, intimacy, and the audacity to allow another life complete access to one's own. Time ceased to exist as they lingered together. Outside, galaxies rotated, supernova erupted, and meteors streaked through the void without notice. Inside, the universe had distilled to a single point of life and warmth. The alien girl pressed completely against him, her trust absolute. He adjusted, cradling her more fully, letting her rest completely against his chest, the faint pulse of her heartbeat vibrating through him like a delicate symphony. Each flicker of her bioluminescence traced intricate constellations along her skin, miniature galaxies responding to the rhythm of their connection. No empire, no intelligence, no machine could replicate or comprehend this force. Humanity endured because it dared to love, to nurture, and to trust where others expected fragility or fear. She whispered again, a delicate vibration that resonated directly in his chest, incomprehensible in words, but undeniable in meaning. I am yours. I trust you. I am safe. And in that simple exchange, he felt the true weight of humanity's power. Across light years, civilizations could rise and fall, stars could ignite and die, and black holes could swallow entire worlds. Yet nothing could erase the force of intimacy, the indomitable courage of connection, or the radiant resilience of life fully given to another. She had curled against him, glowing softly, alive in a way that transcended expectation, logic, and reason. She embodied humanity's secret strength, the audacity to nurture, to inspire, and to endure. He leaned back slightly, holding her fully against his chest, allowing her small body to radiate warmth into him, and felt the quiet defiance of their presence against the cosmos. Humanity's victories had never been loud, never calculated, never predictable. They were intimate, invisible, yet unstoppable. And here, in this quiet sanctuary, that truth was made tangible. The alien girl's luminous form was not fragile, it was a testament to resilience. Her trust and surrender were a weapon more powerful than any fleet, more enduring than any empire, and more radiant than any star. In her presence, he felt the pulse of human courage, the audacity to endure not through domination, but through love, connection, and unwavering care. As the observation deck rotated silently above the planet, distant galaxies swirled in brilliant arcs, their light streaking across the void in waves of fire and ice. Meteors traced silent paths across the darkness. Black holes tugged without mercy, And yet, none of it mattered. The station had become a pocket of eternity, a testament to the quiet power of humans and the lives they could inspire. She curled closer, her bioluminescence pulsing in response to his heartbeat, and he pressed another gentle kiss to the crown of her head, feeling the warmth of life and trust radiate through him. Humanity had always been underestimated, and yet, in moments like this, its true mastery became undeniable. They could endure where others faltered, inspire where others demanded obedience, and create sanctuary where no one thought it possible. Finally, he rested his head atop hers, holding her fully in his arms, letting the soft glow of her skin illuminate his chest. The galaxies outside continued their indifferent dance. Supernovae flared, and cosmic storms raged across the void. Yet within this small sanctuary, humanity's true power shone brighter than any star: the courage to trust, to nurture, and to love. She had curled against him completely, and in that act, the universe bore witness to the ultimate proof that humanity endured not through conquest, but through intimacy, resilience, and the audacious brilliance of connection. Here, in the quiet heartbeat of two lives entwined, the cosmos had finally encountered a force it could not calculate, predict, or contain: the unstoppable power of the human heart. The observation deck had become timeless. Outside, galaxies spun in endless arcs of fire and shadow, black holes tugged at distant stars, and supernova flared in brilliant, violent bursts. Yet none of it could compete with the quiet intensity within. She remained curled fully against his chest, small, warm, and radiant, a living constellation of trust and surrender. Her bioluminescent skin pulsed gently, patterns flowing and shimmering like miniature galaxies, alive with the subtle rhythms of breath and heartbeat. Every flicker, every subtle twitch of her fingers, every sigh against his chest was a language he had learned intimately, a silent declaration that transcended words, species, and expectation. Humanity endured not through fleets or strategy, but through this: connection, intimacy, and the audacious courage to give fully of oneself. He adjusted slightly to hold her closer, letting her warmth seep deeper into him, a tether anchoring them both in the midst of an indifferent universe. Outside, cosmic storms raged, distant quasars pulsed, and colliding galaxies ignited in arcs of impossible color. Yet the enormity of the cosmos mattered little here. All that existed was her, pressed against him, glowing faintly in the dim light of distant stars, and the perfect, unspoken harmony of trust and life between them. Humanity's resilience, he realized, had never been in weapons, technology, or raw power. It had always been here, in the courage to nurture, to protect, and to love with full, uncalculated abandon. She embodied that power completely, a living proof of the force the galaxy had never understood. Her head rested beneath his chin, warm and pliant, and she murmured in soft, musical tones, incomprehensible to him, but imbued with absolute meaning. Safety, trust, belonging, love. He responded instinctively, pressing gentle kisses along her temple, her glowing forehead, and the crown of her head, memorizing the soft luminescence that traced the delicate curves of her shoulders and back. Each gesture, each pulse of light along her skin became a declaration, a proof of humanity's most enduring strength. Other civilizations might wield empires, plan invasions, or calculate probabilities, but none could replicate this: the audacity to surrender, the courage to trust, and the brilliance of intimacy. Time lost all meaning. The hours stretched in silence, punctuated only by the station's gentle hum and the imperceptible vibrations of orbit. He memorized every detail: the subtle quiver of her fingers, the slow rise and fall of her chest, the tiny sparks of bioluminescent light that traced patterns of life across her body. Humanity had always been underestimated, dismissed as fragile, emotional, unpredictable, but in moments like this, its power became undeniable. The universe could rage and destroy, stars could burn and die, and civilizations could crumble into memory. Yet humans endured because they could create sanctuary, inspire trust, and foster connection where none existed. She was the embodiment of that truth, curled against him in luminous surrender. Finally, he pressed his forehead to hers, holding her fully in his arms, feeling the warmth and pulse of her life radiate through him. Outside, galaxies continued their majestic, indifferent dance. Supernovae ignited in violent arcs of light, and black holes whispered across vast distances, yet none of it could diminish the force of their shared presence. Humanity's triumph was quiet, invisible, and immeasurable, yet absolute. It existed in trust freely given, in intimacy unguarded, in love that defied reason and expectation. She had curled against him completely, a delicate yet radiant form, and in doing so, she had demonstrated the ultimate proof of human resilience. Her soft voice murmured again, a gentle vibration that resonated through him, a declaration of surrender, trust, and belonging. He responded with the only words and actions that mattered: presence, protection, and unwavering care. He adjusted, holding her closer, feeling the pulse of her life, the subtle warmth, the perfect rhythm of trust between them. Across light years, civilizations might calculate movements, predict behavior, or conquer worlds, but they could not account for this: the audacity to connect, the courage to love, the force of life fully given. Humanity endured through intimacy, and she, curled against him, was proof of that enduring, unquantifiable power. Minutes stretched into timelessness. Her bioluminescent patterns shifted and flowed, intricate and radiant, responding to his heartbeat, to the rhythm of his touch, to the quiet language they shared. Every flicker, every movement, every sigh was proof that humanity's most formidable power was not technological, not martial, but intimate, invisible, and unstoppable. He pressed a gentle kiss along her temple and the curve of her neck, feeling her small body respond instinctively, trusting him fully, surrendering completely. The universe could rage, stars could collapse, and empires could fall. But within this small pocket of life, humanity's courage was absolute and radiant. He held her for what felt like an eternity, feeling the warmth of life radiate into him, anchoring them against the indifferent cosmos. She had curled against him, glowing faintly in the soft illumination of distant stars, and in doing so had proven what no empire or fleet could measure: humans endured through connection, love, and trust. The galaxies burned, the stars exploded, and civilizations faded. But here, in the quiet intimacy of two lives intertwined, humanity's power was absolute, unstoppable, and radiant. She rested completely against him, small yet indomitable, and he knew, with unshakable clarity, that this, the courage to nurture, to protect, and to love fully, was humanity's ultimate triumph in the infinite, indifferent void of space.